Miami taking on Ole Miss in Tempe, Arizona. The point spread in this game is 3.5. Miami is favorited. The over-under is 52, 6:30 p.m. Central Time. Why don't you kick things off for us? Sounds like we can talk about why we think both teams can win this game. So I'll ask you, why do you think Ole Miss can win this game?
I think Ole Miss can win this game because they have the best athlete at quarterback remaining in the Final Four. I think they also have the best offense remaining in the Final Four. I would happily stake my flag in that. I know who's on the other side in the other game as well. Problem is, I think they have the worst defense out of the four. So, but I think Miami has the worst offense. So this is a classic, just worst versus the worst, best versus the best. Although I could say Indiana might have the best defense remaining. Miami has a best unit, but Ole Miss is going to win by. Listen, they need to have. They need to space out their. They need to have control of the ball, and you just called them out. Just a few minutes ago. Keywan Lacey is going to need to just eat this game. Take a little off Trinidad Chambliss. The thing is, they can't just be in this speed mode and let Miami get comfortable, because Miami's comfortable with running the ball right now. Like, as it's shown the last two games, Beck has combined for 220 yards. Like, they are okay with eating up clock, eating up drives, just really pounding it with Fletcher. And Ole Miss cannot just run into where Ohio State kind of did the same, but didn't let the score get away from them. But because their defense is so stout, they were able to. But Ohio State comes out, first 3 out of 4 drives is 3 and out. That cannot happen for Ole Miss. So they win by balancing their offense, not just relying on Chambliss, and getting above 28.
100%. As far as Miami's pathway to victory, I think Miami can win this game if we see the combination of Akeem Mesidor and Ruben Bain Jr. continue to disrupt these offensive lines that they're going up against. Miami's pass rush has been insane, and they're going to have to find a way to either contain Chambliss or take him down. But I also think it's important for Miami to be able to stop the run, as you just talked about. You don't want Ole Miss, if you're an Ole Miss fan, in these constant drop back passing situations without the threat of a run game. The thing why I see Miami possibly having success here throughout the season, they were the 4th ranked run defense in all of college football in terms of yards allowed per game at 83.4. Only behind Indiana, Oklahoma, and Texas Tech. Pretty good defenses. Now, if you want to play devil's advocate, Georgia is actually number 5 in run defense rankings, and Ole Miss did a decent job against them. But take that for what it's worth. And you just said it on the offensive side of the ball. Mark Fletcher, he looks good. Seems like he pops a few, decent to big-time runs here in these playoffs so far. Obviously, you have Malachi Toney and you have CJ Daniels as receiving options for Carson Beck, who has not played sexy, but he has played efficient enough, especially when it comes to like 3rd downs or 4th downs when they need a conversion. Seems like he's made the right play more often than not. So Miami, play a clean game. Don't turn the ball over. Let defense dominate the day. Stop the run. And there's a pathway to victory for them, as we can see. They're favorites in this game.
Yep, big time. They do have a common opponent. Miami throttled Florida, and Ole Miss beats Florida by 10, a little closer than they'd like. So when we look at those particular games, obviously that Florida game was much earlier in the season for Miami. And, outside of Yeah.
I should note though that Florida game, Miami pulled away at the end. That game was somewhat close for 3/4 of the game.
Yeah. Only scoring 7 though is like, yeah. Anyway, listen, I mean, Ole Miss can survive on defense more than people want to give them credit for. They're not going to be getting pressure unless they're going to dial up blitz packages. But, if they're able to hold this Miami run game in check, they are pretty good at maintaining passive explosiveness and overall explosiveness as a whole and a total pass EPA per play. They're top 85, 90% in both of those categories. So the secondary can compete against a quarterback that we think is, the last quarterback in this Final Four ranking here. The only thing is just this is the game where the defensive line has to just stand guard. I mean, they're not going to shut them down by any means. I don't think this is going to be a track meet, but there's going to need to be some kind of standing up and digging deep from maybe what you haven't seen on a couple plays, not necessarily the whole game, just for the other path on how Ole Miss wins.
Yep. Ole Miss has got a bunch of weapons from an offensive standpoint, and I really like the fact that Ole Miss's head coach, Pete Golding, is a defensive-minded type of guy. I think that'll serve him well in this playoff game, and especially if they're able to get to the national championship, because offense is not really something that they, in my opinion, honestly, have to be super concerned about. For as good as Miami's pass rush is, maybe Ole Miss learns a lesson. They watch the film in that Ohio State game and say, okay, Ohio State maybe didn't adjust as well as they should have. Let's make sure that we're prepared going into this game. But anything else you want to add in this one?
Yeah, just a final score prediction here. I do think Ole Miss shocks the world, and I think that they win a close game. I think that they win 31-28. I think it's a three-point game. I think Miami's going to get in a few times. And something that's unexplainable in the stat sheet shows up to me for Trinidad Chambliss. And that's why I think they're playing for a national title in a week and a half.
Yep. For the Fiesta Bowl, hopefully this isn't a meme. I'm also going to go with Ole Miss in this game, 27-24. I think they have something special cooking with Chambliss and the whole coaching departure with Lane Kiffin. And I think these guys come together and get the job done. Ole Miss moving on to the championship game. Be sure to like and subscribe here and check out our coverage of the Peach Bowl as well.